Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. We always hear this idea that to start a business, you need like a pile of cash just sitting around.
Yeah, you need to be, like, independently wealthy, right?
Right. But is that really true? Well, today we're going to be taking a look at a chapter from Ryan Moran's book. He basically says you can actually get your first product launched, get everything going for somewhere between $5,000 and $10,000.
Which, okay, still sounds like a chunk of change,
Yeah.
but it's way less daunting than, most people probably think.
It is. And I mean, think about it. That's less than what some people spend on a used car.
Totally. And especially now with all these online platforms like Amazon and Shopify,
Yeah.
the barriers to entry are just so much lower.
So much lower. Now, Moran's got a really interesting point that I wanted to start with today. He talks about how, like, the most important thing, the very first thing, even before you start crunching numbers, is changing your mindset
Oh,
about
yeah.
funding.
Mhm.
He doesn't want us to think of it as an expense. He wants us to think of it as
Investment, for sure.
yes, an investment. Why is that so important?
Well, I think it comes down to the way you approach every decision in your business, right?
Yeah.
Because when you think of it as an expense, you're constantly focused on cutting costs and you're looking for the cheapest option.
You're being very, very careful about where every dollar goes.
Exactly.
Versus if you're thinking about it as an investment in the future of your
That's
business,
about long-term value.
you're okay with putting a little bit more money down now
Exactly.
if it means you're going to reap bigger rewards later.
Exactly. Like you're not just, tossing money out the window.
Right.
You're strategically placing it where it's going to grow.
So it's about working smarter, not just harder with your money.
For sure.
Now, Moran gives us a pretty good breakdown of like how to budget this $5,000 to $10,000.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that, like, where does most of the money go in that initial investment?
Well, the biggest chunk, unsurprisingly, is usually going to be inventory.
Makes sense.
You need something to actually
You
sell.
got to have a product.
You got to have a product, right? And then after that, you're looking at things like
Oh,
packaging,
yeah.
which is important, first impressions and all that.
Yeah, make it look good.
And then you've got your platform fees, depending on whether you're using, Shopify or Amazon or whatever.
Your monthly subscriptions.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff.
And then a little bit, he says, should be set aside for some initial marketing.
Some initial marketing to kind of get the ball rolling.
Yeah. Now, let's be real for a sec.
Yeah.
Not everyone has $5,000 to $10,000 just,
Oh, absolutely.
sitting under their mattress.
Not at all.
So what happens if you're in that situation?
Well, this is where the idea of bootstrapping comes in,
Oh, yeah.
which Moran is a huge proponent of.
I love bootstrapping. It just feels like very empowering.
Yeah,
It's like
absolutely.
I'm building this from nothing,
Yeah.
right? Now, what are some, like, when you say bootstrapping, what are we actually talking about?
So it's basically finding ways to fund your business with your own existing resources, right?
Okay.
So that could be, cutting back on personal expenses,
Okay.
maybe getting a side hustle.
Like driving for one of the
Yeah, exactly.
ride-sharing apps.
Yeah, or freelancing or selling stuff you don't need anymore.
Yeah, like selling old clothes on Poshmark or something.
Exactly.
So many things you could do.
And even, strategically using credit cards.
Okay, that's where I wanted to go next because
Yeah.
he does mention credit cards, but I feel like
It's a little controversial, for sure.
yeah, well, there's always that like little voice in my head that says credit card's danger.
Yeah, and I think he's definitely cautious about it. He's
Yeah.
not saying, like, go max out all your credit cards.
Right.
It's about using them strategically for things that you know are going to help your business grow
Okay.
and that you can pay back quickly.
Okay. So things like, for example,
So, maybe using a credit card that has, like, really good rewards points to
Mm.
buy your initial inventory.
okay, so like make your money work for you a little bit.
Exactly.
Not just like going out and buying a bunch of, office furniture that you don't need.
Yeah, no, none of that.
Now, bootstrapping is awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
But sometimes you do need a little bit more, right?
Absolutely.
So what are some of the other funding options that he talks about in the book?
So he goes through a bunch of them, actually, and kind of lays out the pros and cons.
Okay.
I think the first one that a lot of people consider is, borrowing from friends and family,
Yeah. That's usually the first place people go.
which can be great, if you have people who are supportive and willing to help.
And who believe in your vision.
Exactly. But it's also really important to be super clear about the repayment terms.
Yeah, because that can get messy.
Oh, yeah. You don't want to ruin relationships over money.
Absolutely. Okay, so friends and family, what else does he talk about?
He also talks about personal loans, which can be a little bit easier to qualify for than, say, a business loan.
Okay.
They might have higher interest rates. And then, of course, there are business loans.
which are usually a little bit harder to get, right?
They can be, yeah. Usually you need a really solid business plan.
You got to have all your ducks in a row.
Exactly. You got to show that you're serious.
And that this is not just some fly-by-night idea.
Exactly.
Okay. And then he mentions credit cards again.
Yeah, credit cards come up again, but again, it's with that caution.
Always with that caution.
Like, use them wisely, use them strategically.
It's a tool.
It is.
It could be a very useful tool or a very dangerous tool,
Exactly.
depending on how you use it.
For sure.
So it sounds like he really gives you a good overview of like all the different options.
Yeah, he lays it all out there so you can kind of weigh the pros and cons and see what makes sense for you.
So with all of these borrowing options, right?
Yeah.
What's like the overarching message? What's the most important thing to keep in mind when you're thinking about borrowing money for your business?
I think, above all, he emphasizes being realistic.
Okay.
Only borrow what you know you can actually repay.
Bite off more than you can chew.
Exactly. And have a clear plan for how you're going to use that money to actually grow your business.
Don't just borrow it for the sake of borrowing it.
Exactly.
Have a plan.
Have a purpose. Know what you're going to do with it. Make it work for you.
Okay, I love that. It's all about making those smart financial decisions
For sure.
from the very beginning.
Absolutely.
Now, get this. Are you ready for some, like, really cool, innovative funding methods?
Oh, always.
Because Moran talked about these, and I was like, whoa, I didn't even think about that.
Lay it on me.
Crowdfunding and pre-sales.
Ooh, yeah, those are game changers for sure, especially for first-time entrepreneurs.
Okay, let's break those down.
Yeah.
Crowdfunding now, when you say crowdfunding, what are we talking about? What does that even look like?
So think of platforms like Kickstarter, Indiegogo, those kinds of places.
Okay.
And it's basically the idea of tapping into the power of the crowd.
Okay.
So you essentially pitching your product idea
To the masses.
to a community of people who might be interested in backing you.
Okay.
And they can choose to, financially support your project.
So it's like you're getting a bunch of mini investors
Exactly.
instead of going to one big bank.
Yeah, and they're usually people who, really believe in your vision.
Yeah, they're excited about what you're doing.
They're excited about it and they want to be a part of it.
Now, do they get anything in return for their support?
Often, yeah, they get like cool perks.
Right.
So it could be things like early access to the product,
Oh, that's cool.
maybe some exclusive discounts,
Okay.
or even like, their name in the credits or something.
So they feel like they're really a part of it.
Yeah, like they're part of something special.
And you're getting that funding to get started.
No, exactly. And it's also a great way to validate your idea.
Yeah, because if people are willing to put their money behind it,
Exactly.
then, you're onto something.
There's some interest.
Okay, then we've got pre-sales. What is that?
So pre-sales is basically getting people to pay for your product
Before it exists.
before it even exists.
Oh.
So it's kind of like saying, hey, I believe in this product so much
Yeah.
that I'm willing to put my money where my mouth is, and I want you to do the same.
Oh, so it's like a vote of confidence from your customers.
Exactly. And it's a brilliant way to, not only secure funding,
Yeah.
but also to prove that there's actual demand for what you're making.
So you're not just making a product and then hoping people will buy it.
Exactly. You're making sure that people actually want it.
It's like a built-in market test.
Yeah, it's like, getting people to kind of pre-order
Oh, that's so smart.
and commit to buying it.
Okay, I really like both of those. What I love about both crowdfunding and pre-sales is that it feels like
Yeah.
it minimizes risk.
Absolutely. You're not just like sinking a ton of your own money
Yeah.
into something that might not work.
Yeah.
You're testing the waters, you're building that community,
Okay, I like it.
and you're getting that financial backing up front.
All right, you ready for another like curveball?
Hit me.
Moran talks about using Amazon as a funding tool,
Ooh.
and specifically their FBA program,
Yeah.
Fulfillment by Amazon. Now tell me about that. I'm not as familiar with this one.
So this is where things get really interesting, I think.
Okay.
With FBA, basically, Amazon handles all of the logistics.
Of what?
So they handle the storing of your product, the packing, the shipping.
Wait, so I don't have to have my own warehouse?
Not necessarily, no. They even handle like customer service and returns and all that.
So I don't need a warehouse? I don't need a shipping team? This sounds amazing.
It can be a real game changer for startups, especially if you're limited on resources.
So basically, you're leveraging Amazon's
Massive infrastructure.
huge infrastructure, right?
Yeah, their reach is incredible.
And all of that without having to like invest in all of that myself.
Exactly. You're kind of piggybacking on their success in a way.
I like this. Okay, so what does Moran say? Like, what his strategy for using Amazon FBA?
So he's all about starting small with your inventory
Okay.
and then reinvesting the profits that you make back into more inventory.
Okay.
And using Amazon's, huge reach to cut down on your marketing costs.
Oh, okay. So I'm using their platform, their audience, everything.
Exactly. It's like a snowball effect.
Right. Right.
start small, you build momentum, and then you reinvest those profits to keep growing.
It sounds very sustainable, too, which I like.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not about, getting a quick buck. It's about building something that lasts.
Now, this is all very exciting, but I do want to talk about some potential pitfalls.
Oh, for sure. There are always pitfalls.
Because Moran doesn't shy away from that either.
No, not at all.
He's very open about, like, the things that can go wrong.
He's been there, done that, and wants to help other people avoid those mistakes.
Exactly, which I really appreciate.
Because those lessons are valuable, you know?
Very valuable.
They can save you a lot of headaches down the road.
So pitfall number 1, let's talk about that.
Okay, hit me.
Over-ordering inventory.
Oh, yeah, that's a classic.
It's so tempting, right?
It is, especially when you're excited about your product.
Yeah.
You just want to, go big or go home.
Yeah, I'm going to order 1,000 units.
But then if it doesn't sell as well as you hoped, you're stuck with all this inventory.
You're out all that money.
Exactly. So imagine, you're a small business owner.
Okay.
You make handmade candles or something.
Okay.
You get this huge order from a retailer.
You're ecstatic.
You're like, yes, this is it. I've made it.
Yeah.
You go and ordered, thousands of dollars worth of supplies
Yeah.
to make all these candles.
Yeah.
And then at the last minute, the retailer backs out.
Oh, no.
And you're left with all this wax and wicks and jars and
Heartbreak.
heartbreak. Exactly.
And a huge financial setback.
Exactly. So it's always better to, start small, test the market, gradually scale up as the demand grows.
Don't get ahead of yourself.
Don't get ahead of yourself.
What's pitfall number 2?
Number 2 is underestimating costs.
Oh, yeah.
This one can really sneak up on you.
Because you're so focused on the product itself.
You're so focused on the big picture, right?
Yeah.
And you forget about all those little things that add up.
Like, what kind of things are we talking about?
So, things like shipping costs,
Oh, yeah?
storage fees, if you do need a warehouse,
Yeah.
packaging materials, marketing expenses.
Oh, yeah.
It all adds up so quickly.
It's like that moment when you get your credit card bill.
Exact.
And you're like, oh, how did I spend that much?
Where did all my money go?
And then you remember all the little things, but in this case, it's your business.
Yeah, it's your livelihood.
So be meticulous about those expenses, right?
Absolutely.
Keep track of everything.
Track everything and make sure you have a little bit of a cushion,
Yeah.
just in case something unexpected pops up,
Okay. I like it.
which it always does.
It always does. All right. What's the last big pitfall that he mentioned?
The last one is chasing vanity metrics.
Okay. Explain that one to me.
So it's easy to get caught up in the big numbers, right?
Yeah.
A ton of website traffic.
1 million followers on Instagram?
Yeah, tons of followers, thousands of app downloads.
Yeah. It feels good.
It feels good.
Right.
But if those numbers aren't translating into actual sales and profit,
Oh.
then they're just vanity metrics.
So it's like that saying, you can't pay your bills with likes.
Exactly. You can't pay your bills with likes and shares.
Right.
So it's a trap that a lot of entrepreneurs fall into.
Yeah.
They get so focused on building a huge audience
Yeah.
that they forget to focus on actually making money.
And that's what Moran emphasizes throughout this whole chapter, right?
Yeah.
Profit.
Profit over everything.
It's not just about selling a product.
It's about building a sustainable business.
Yes. I will
Something that can thrive in the long run.
It's not just about the short game. It's about
Exactly.
building something that lasts.
It's about creating a business that can support you and your dreams and your future.
I like that. It's not just about making a quick buck. It's about building something that's going to be around for a while.
Absolutely.
I love that. Okay, so we've talked about the myth of needing tons of money to get started.
Yeah.
We've talked about all the different ways to fund your business.
Bootstrapping, borrowing, those cool, innovative methods.
Yes, all of that.
Crowdfunding, pre-sales.
And then, of course, we talked about those potential pitfalls.
Yeah, got to watch out for those.
So as we're kind of wrapping up this part of our deep dive into Ryan Moran's book,
Yeah.
I want to leave you with a question.
Okay, I'm ready.
What is one small step that you can take today
Ooh, I like that.
to move you closer to funding your own business dream?
Love it.
It could be as simple as doing some research on crowdfunding platforms.
Yeah, or just brainstorming side hustle ideas.
Yeah.
Or even just sketching out a rough budget.
Just to get you started, to get those wheels turning.
Because every giant leap starts with a single step, right?
So true. Go on, take that step. The world is waiting for your brilliant ideas.
That's right. Go for it. You got this.
It's all about taking those baby steps, right? Those little actions that add up over time.
Momentum. That's the key.
Now, remember those haha moments I mentioned? We'll get ready for some because Moran throws in these really innovative funding methods.
Oh, okay,
I
yeah.
bet you haven't even thought about.
I intrigued. Let's hear it.
Crowdfunding and pre-sales.
Oh, yeah. Okay, those are super interesting, especially when you're just starting out.
Okay, so let's break them down.
Yeah.
What is crowdfunding? When you say that, what does that actually look like?
So think of platforms, like Kickstarter or Indiegogo.
Okay, yeah.
And it's all about, tapping into the power of the crowd, like the name suggests, right?
Okay.
So you're pitching your product idea,
To the masses.
yeah, to a whole community of potential backers, and they can choose to, support you
So
financially.
like having a bunch of mini investors
Exactly.
instead of going to like one big bank for a loan.
Yeah, and usually these backers, they like really believe in your vision.
They're excited about your product.
They're excited about what you're doing and they want to be a part of it from the ground up.
Now, do they get anything in return? Like, is there something in it for them besides just like the warm and fuzzies of helping someone out?
Yeah, usually there are like perks involved, different tiers of reward.
Oh, that's cool. Like what?
So it could be like, getting early access to the product before anyone else,
Oh, that's awesome.
maybe some exclusive discounts,
Where?
or even, like having their name listed in the credits or something like that.
So they feel like they're really a part of making this happen.
Exactly.
And you're getting that funding to actually like get off the ground.
Yeah. And it's also a great way to validate your idea early on.
Because if people are willing to put their money where their mouth is,
Exactly. It shows there's real interest.
then you know you're onto something.
Yeah. It's like real world feedback, but with, financial commitment behind it.
I like it. Okay, so what about pre-sales? That's the other one you mentioned.
So pre-sales is basically getting people to pay for your product before it's even made.
Wait, so they're paying for something that doesn't exist yet.
Yeah, it's like you're saying, hey, I believe in this so much.
I'm going to pay for it now.
I'm willing to put my money down. Are you?
It's almost like a vote of confidence from your customers.
Totally. And it's smart, right? Because not only are you securing funding, but you're also proving that there's demand.
So you're not just creating a product and then hoping that people will buy it.
Exactly. You're getting that validation up front.
It's like a built-in market test.
Yeah, it's like, those pre-orders you see for video games or movies?
Yeah, I get it.
It's that same principle, but for your own product.
I really like that. And what I love about both crowdfunding and pre-sales is that it feels like you're minimizing risk.
Absolutely. You're not like taking out a huge loan or
Sinking all your savings into it.
Exactly. You're testing the waters, building that community, and getting financial support along the way.
Okay, are you ready for like a total curveball?
Okay, I think so. Hit me.
Moran talks about using Amazon,
As in the website.
as in the everything, as a funding tool.
Wait, really? How does that work?
Specifically, their FBA programs, Fulfillment by Amazon.
Okay, I've heard of FBA, but I don't really know much about it.
So basically with FBA, Amazon handles all the logistics.
Logistics, okay.
Storing your product, packing it, shipping it.
Wait, so I don't need my own warehouse?
Nope. They even do like customer service and returns.
So you're saying with FBA, I don't need a warehouse, I don't need a shipping team.
You're basically leveraging their massive infrastructure, their global reach.
That's wild. I mean, that's incredible for someone starting out, right?
It's like having this like silent partner who's handling all the behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, while you focus on actually getting your product.
Okay, so what does Moran say? Like, what's his strategy for using Amazon FBA to your advantage?
So he's all about starting small, right? Like start with a smaller inventory,
Right.
don't go overboard at the beginning.
Go crazy.
Exactly. And then as you start making sales, reinvest those profits back into more inventory.
Okay.
And then, the beauty of Amazon is they have such a huge reach, you can really cut down on your marketing costs.
So I'm using their platform, their audience, everything.
Exactly. It's like a snowball effect. You start small, you build momentum,
Yeah,
and you just keep reinvesting those profits to grow bigger and bigger.
it sounds very sustainable.
Absolutely. It's about long-term growth, not just a quick buck.
I like that. Now, as much as I hate to bring it up, there are some potential pitfalls we got to talk about, right?
Oh, for sure. There are always bumps in the road.
And Moran's not afraid to get real about those. Like, he's been there, done that.
He's like that wise mentor who's seen it all and wants to, spare you the pain.
Exactly. He's like, hey, I made these mistakes. You don't have to.
Learn from my scars.
Okay, so pitfall number 1, over-ordering inventory.
Oh, yeah. Classic mistake.
It's so tempting, though, right?
It is. You're excited about your product. You want to, go big.
You're like, this is going to be huge. I'm going to order 1,000 units.
But then what if it doesn't sell as well as you hoped?
You're stuck with all this stuff.
Exactly. Imagine, you're a small business. You make, I don't know, handmade soap or something.
Okay, yeah.
You get this huge order from, a fancy boutique.
Oh, you're
So
so
you're over the moon. You go out, buy all these supplies
Yeah.
to make, hundreds of bars of soap.
Yep.
And then last minute, the boutique backs out.
Oh, no.
You're left with all this soap, all these
And
ingredients.
a broken heart.
Yeah, a financial and emotional setback.
It's a good reminder to, start small, right? Test the market and then gradually scale up.
Exactly. Don't get ahead of yourself.
Okay, what's pitfall number 2?
Number 2 is underestimating your costs.
Oh, yeah, those hidden costs that just, creep up on you.
It happens to the best of us.
It's because you're so focused on the product, on the big idea.
You forget about all the little things.
Like what? Give me some examples.
Shipping costs, storage fees if you do need a warehouse, packaging materials,
Yeah,
marketing.
yeah, it all adds up.
It adds up quick.
It's like when you get your credit card bill and you're like, wait, how did I spend that much?
Exactly. Except, it's your business on the line.
So track those expenses
Be meticulous. Have a little buffer, for those unexpected things that pop up.
because they always do.
They always do. Life loves to throw curveballs.
Okay, what's the last big pitfall he warns about?
The last one is chasing vanity metrics.
Ooh, vanity metrics. Explain that one.
So it's easy to get caught up in the big numbers, right?
Yeah.
Like tons of website traffic, thousands of followers on social media.
Yeah, it feels good. It feels like you're doing something.
It does,
It's
right?
exciting.
It's like validation.
But if those numbers aren't translating into actual sales, into profit,
Oh,
they're just vanity
they're
metrics.
just for show.
Exactly. Like that saying, you can't pay your bills with likes.
Right.
It's a trap a lot of entrepreneurs fall into. They focus so much on building this huge audience,
Yeah.
but they forget about the bottom line. And that's what Moran emphasizes throughout this whole chapter, right?
Oh, yeah. Profitability is key.
It's not just about, like, selling a product
It's about building a sustainable business.
that can actually, like, survive and thrive.
Exactly. Long-term vision.
I love that.
It's about building something that lasts, something that can support you, your dreams, your future.
It's not just about a quick buck.
Not at all.
It's about something bigger.
Ex-
Wow, we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
It's amazing how much Ryan Moran packs into a single chapter.
He really does. And it's also practical, too.
Absolutely. It's not just theory, it's like actionable steps you can actually take.
Exactly.
So let's recap. Like, what were some of the biggest takeaways for you?
Well, I think for me, it all starts with that mindset shift,
Yeah.
that idea of viewing funding as an investment, not an expense.
That was huge.
It really changes the way you approach every decision.
Totally. And we talked about, that you don't need a fortune to get started.
Right, that myth that you need like $100,000 just to like open the doors.
Yeah, forget about that. Moran says, 5 to 10,000 is a realistic goal for your first product launch.
Which is way less intimidating.
Way less intimidating. And we even broke down, like, where that money goes.
Inventory, packaging, those platform fees.
Yeah, all the essential stuff.
And a little bit for marketing too, to get the word out.
Right, got to get those customers.
Yeah.
But then, of course, we talked about, like, what if you don't even have that 5 to 10,000?
Yeah, that's where the hustle comes in.
The bootstrapping magic.
Bootstrapping is all about getting creative, using what you've got.
I love it. It's so empowering,
It is.
like building something from nothing.
Yeah, using your own sweat and tears and maybe a little bit of credit card magic.
He did mention credit cards strategically, which is always a little bit scary, but
Yeah, got to be careful with that one.
then, those innovative funding methods he talked
Oh,
about,
those are cool.
crowdfunding, pre-sales, those are game changers,
They really are.
especially for someone just starting out.
Yeah, they take a lot of the risk out of it.
Exactly. You're not just putting all your eggs in one basket.
Nope, you're testing the waters, you're building a community.
And then using Amazon FBA,
Oh yeah, leveraging Amazon's like massive power.
it's like having a secret weapon.
Seriously, their infrastructure is mind-blowing.
But of course, he did warn about those pitfalls too, right?
Yeah, gotta stay realistic.
Don't get too caught up in the excitement.
Avoid those common mistakes, like over-ordering inventory.
Yeah, or underestimating your costs.
Or chasing those vanity metrics.
It's all about focusing on that long-term vision.
Sustainable growth, building a business that's gonna last.
I think that's a perfect note to end on.
I agree.
Building something that lasts.
Leaving a legacy,
That's what it's all about.
making your mark on the world.
All right, well, that's it for this deep dive into Ryan Moran's book. I hope you all learned as much as I did.
I know I did.
And remember, that question we talked about earlier. What one small step can you take today to move closer to your dream?
Take action. Even a tiny step is progress.
That's right. Thanks for joining us, everyone, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah.